In today's video, I'm answering frequently asked questions about going to school for interior design, including the #1 question I get asked all the time. Hi everyone, thank you so much for clicking to watch this video. If you are new here, my name is Sandy and I talk about all things interior design. This video specifically is going to be about answering your questions about interior design school that you have asked me. When I first started my channel, I made a video called 4 Things to Know About Interior Design School. If you haven't seen that video, then I would recommend watching that first and then viewing onto this video. So I got tons and tons of comments, hundreds I think at this point, because there are more than 4 things to know about interior design school. And that video was just kind of meant to be things to think about. And now that I know that you guys have more questions, this video is in response to all your questions and trying to answer some of them. So feel free to DM me if you have any more after this video, or comment below and I'll make a part 3 or a part 2 of this trying to, answer any more of your questions. And at the end of this video, if you like it, and please consider subscribing and hitting that thumbs up button. All right, let's get into the video. So one of the questions I get asked the most is, do I need to be good at math to do interior design? And the answer is no. You do not have to be a mathematician to go into interior design. When I said there was a lot of math, what I meant was it's a lot of adding, subtracting, dividing, and multiplying. Not algebra or calculus or the limit does not exist. Thumbs up, please, if you understand that Mean Girls reference. I love you forever. Really what design consists of as far as the mathematics goes is a lot of volumetric thinking. So you're gonna have to figure out the square footage of a room so that you know how much to order in materials. If you're gonna be putting tile in a room, you need to know how much tile to order. If you're going to be putting a window in, or you want to make the window bigger, or if you want to put a vanity above a mirror, but the mirror is already there, you need to know how big your vanity is going to be. So there's just a lot of just measuring and making sure that things line up. And when the fractions come in, because you'll be measuring something, things won't be nice round numbers all the time, rarely. Things are going to be like 7 feet in 2 inches and 3/4 or something like that. It's not always going to be exact. It would be nice if everything was a whole number, but you want to be as precise as possible when you're measuring things, because that's how you get things to fit exactly where you need them to be. Another question I get asked is, do I need to be good at drawing? I see that down in the comments a lot. And the answer is no. I couldn't draw stick figures when I started going to school for design. And at the end of it, I was decent, I think. I was certainly not like Monet or Picasso or anything, but you just need to be able to draw to get the point across, and I think I can at least draw to get the point across. You will take multiple classes on that kind of stuff, depending on how your program is set up, so don't worry about it. They expect you not to know how to draw. You don't have to be an artist, who draws like these amazingly detailed, perfect images. They teach you all the rules about how drawing. There are tricks to drawing. Not tricks, but more rules, guidelines, that kind of thing. So you don't really have to be worried about that. If you still are, if you're maybe in high school, or you're in a different career path and you have time to, explore some drawing aspects, I do recommend maybe looking up some drawing videos, getting some drawing books, or just finding drawings that you really like. Like, just go on an interior designer's website or an illustration website, or where they do like landscaping and stuff, and just trace it. Just trace and see where all those lines fall, and just get yourself comfortable with thinking and getting your brain to think like that. And that might be helpful for you and get you more comfortable with it when you do start taking drawing classes. A third question I get asked a lot, and this is the question I get asked the most. This is the #1 question you guys ask me all the time, and I'm finally here trying to answer it for you all. The question is, what school should I go to? Every day someone asks me this question. I'm not even sure I'm exaggerating when I say every day. In my DMs, it's just scrolling. People say it goes down in the DMs. My DMs are very professional. It's just people asking me stuff about design. So, what school should you go to? The answer is, I don't know. I do not know what school you should go to. I cannot tell every single person what school they should go to. But I do have guidelines on 2 things that you should really look into when you are picking a school. How much does a school cost? 1. And 2, what is the length of their program? So cost is very important. You're gonna have to pay, if you're taking out loans to go to school, you have to factor in that you're gonna have to pay those loans back after school. I'm not anti-loan or anything like that. I take out loans to go to school. It's just, you need to think about how much money you're gonna realistically be making when you get out of school. It's not, don't let anybody scare you into thinking there are no jobs, it's not a good career path because you're not gonna be making blah blah yada yada. You can make $30,000 a year being an interior designer. You could make $100,000 a year being an interior designer. You could make $2 million a year being an interior designer. You can make $75,000 a year being an interior designer. You have to discover the path that leads you to which level of income that you feel comfortable at, but you're gonna, after 6 months normally for most places, I'm speaking to North America and the United States, you have to start paying back your loans after that time. But just really consider that. I think a lot of high schoolers, especially when you're younger, you can't really fathom and conceptualize, oh, student loans, everyone just does it. But it will be a lot when you get out of school. So if you're trying to go to a private school or if you're trying to go out of state, consider, hey, this is immensely more expensive. And it does not matter where you go to school. It really doesn't. As long as you commit yourself and you get the education and you put your best foot forward, no one asks you where you went to school. I work in the industry now and no one ever asked me where I went to school. No one ever, it's on my resume, but it's like at the bottom, the education part's at the bottom. No one cares. You could have gone to Harvard for interior design. I don't even know if Harvard has an interior design program, but that's just to prove my point that it's not super important and it matters what your experience is. Where did you intern? You have to get internships. So when you're picking a location, also consider, look up firms in that area. Are there design firms? Are there interior designers in that area? I'm pretty sure that every area of the world has interior designers, because any space that someone lives or works in needs to be designed by someone. So there's probably someone locally that designed that space. But that's really important to consider. You know, how much is this gonna cost me? If you want to go to community college, if your community college offers courses that could be prerequisite, that could be significantly less cost. So look into that. Don't let anybody tell you that you have to go to like SCAD to be an interior designer. SCAD is an amazing school, amazing program. I toured it. It's lovely. It has all the bells and whistles. #1 design school in the country, but it's also over $100,000 to get that degree. Side note, if you guys would like a video on which I compare costs of different schools or just segment the costs of some schools just to give you guys like a range and idea, please let me know. I could look into making a video like that if you guys want to see it. The second thing to consider is, what is the length of this program? So the average program is about 3 to 4 years. Some programs are more expedited that are about two years. If it's like an associate or like a certificate program. I know at the school I went to, they offered a residential associates or something like that, where you didn't take all the interior design classes, but enough that you were familiar with the industry and could go out and get the rest of your education really like in practice through experience. And the reason you should consider the length of the program is because if you are going to be working full-time while you're in school, a shorter program could potentially be more strenuous because you're having to condense more information into a shorter time period. A longer program might have more leeway, might give you a little bit more room to breathe, but if you have like some other deadlines in your life that are pressing, then maybe that doesn't line up with school. School is very stressful. It is very strenuous. So don't think that you're just like, gonna be just gliding through school, because you're probably not. These projects take a very long time. When I was applying to school, they said, hey, homework is about 30 hours a week outside of your classes. And I was like, haha, no it's not. They just said that to scare me. They did not just say that to scare me. That was the truth. Okay, that was the truth. It's probably more than 30 hours. I can think of a project I spent 52 hours on. I counted, and it was one project for one class. It gets very intense. So consider how much room you need to breathe in the program when you're deciding what length it is that you want to go through and how much you want to learn. Another question I get asked a lot is, what should I minor in school? So if you're going to be going to a traditional school, for example, I went to Florida State University and I got a degree in public relations and I minored in business. Most schools like that will force you to pick a minor, and you want to study something that's complementary to what your major is. I had someone ask if engineering was going to be a good minor to take, and if you're going to be going with architecture, then engineering would probably coincide more with that major. Engineering can be helpful in interior design, but interior designers don't know every single thing about building and every tiny little thing. Eventually, and every little tiny little thing about every project. Eventually, you will, when you go on to be a designer, you're part of a team. There's an electrician, there's a plumber, there's an engineer. Sometimes you're working with the architect. You're part of this system. So you don't have to know every single thing about electricity and how it runs through the house and all the wiring. You don't have to know everything about installing tile or installing wood floors. Eventually, through time and doing more projects, you will learn all that stuff and you'll be able to file it all in your encyclopedia up here. But there's a whole system of people that you will interact with and work with. So don't feel that you're going to be operating in some kind of silo when you're out of school and, oh my gosh, I don't know this, I don't know that. There are so many resources out there for designers to go learn that, and you're learning it as you're working on a project. So you're not like having to, so there are things that you probably might not learn in school, but you just got like an overview on, and now you're doing this project and you need more in-depth information. And that's where things like showrooms come in handy. I talk about showrooms in my 6 jobs you can do with a design degree video. So if you want to go and watch that to learn what a showroom is. But if you guys also would be interested in a video where I talk about all the other people you would interact with, not all of them, but at least some of them, so you have a good idea, let me know, because you're not operating by yourself as a designer. There's the realtor, there's the builder, there's the builder's team, like there's a casement worker place or case goods, stuff like that is case goods is like cabinetry and molding and stuff like that. So there's just so many people, plethora of people. So don't feel like you have to know every single thing. Engineering can be helpful, but it would be more worth your time to just reference to an engineer than trying to learn everything. For instance, like a CEO doesn't necessarily know how to build a website. They contract that out. Those are the kinds of things that you will contract out. A minor that could be very helpful, minoring in business. If you're going to go on to be an interior designer and you want to be a designer on your own, taking on your own clients, you're not working with a firm, you're going to be running a business. So you're going to need to know some business tactics, and that could be very complementary to your design degree. Another minor would be graphic design. When you're a designer, you're doing so many presentations all the time for clients, and helping them visually understand what you're talking about and making everything look very professional could be very helpful. And also, while you're in school, you do a lot of presentations and you put those together all on either Photoshop, or you could use free tools like Canva, or just Microsoft Office, any kind of tools that you're using for school presentations. Having a graphic design major and learning about like keeping graphics together and branding and colors and all that is gonna blend well with design. So those are 2 minors that you might want to consider. If you have any other ones that you think are good or have questions about that, then comment down below and I will get to them. Another question I get asked is, should I go to an accredited school, or is it important, does it matter? If you don't know what an accredited school is, I'll take the time to explain that now. A school that is accredited has been approved by CIDA, that's CIDA. I don't remember what the acronym stands for right now, but I'll make sure to include that somewhere on the screen for you to know and link to their website. CIDA gives accreditation to schools. So they're the organization that decides how strenuous the curriculum for that school has to be, and then they go and they assess those schools, and they look at the projects that students are turning in, the tests that are being given, how everyone's grading. They look at job placement from that school, and if that school meets all of CIDA's benchmarks and standards, and that school gets to keep its accreditation and say, okay, great, quality designers are graduating from our program. When you go to a CETA school, you then have the chance to take the, you can sit for the NCIDQ exam. I believe NCIDQ stands for National Accreditation of Interior Design Association or Assessment or something. I'll put it in here so that you guys know, and I'll link to their website in the description as well. But when you take the exam, basically it's like taking the bar for a lawyer, or taking medical exams for a doctor or something like that. You get what the RID initial behind your name, and it stands for Registered Interior Designer. So this is like super official process, and there are tons of successful designers who did not do this process. You do not have to do this at all. But if it's important to you to have that accreditation, then you would study for the exam, and you have to, I believe, be working in the field for a couple of years before you can even actually take the exam, or maybe a couple of months. I can't remember exactly, but it lists on their website how to take the exam and where you can take it and what you need to have done prior to take it. I believe you have to have graduated from a CETA school or a school with some other certification. It doesn't always have to be CETA. And that way you take the exam, and then to keep up your accreditation, you have to go to seminars and other conventions and things where you gain credits, and you have to have like a certain amount of credits each year to continue on with your certification. So you don't have to like retake the exam or anything. Once you take it, you pass, and it's pass fail. It's not just, you don't get like a C or a B or an A, literally just pass fail. It's a very strenuous exam from my understanding. It's super stressful. A lot of people study their butts off for it, and if you really want to do that and get that RID behind your name, and maybe you feel like people are gonna take you more seriously or something like that, then you can feel free to go ahead and do that. But keep in mind, there are tons of successful designers who did not take the exam. As it stands right now, do not intend on taking the exam, but I could change my mind. It's not necessarily something that's like a goal of mine. I think I want to go an alternate route, not necessarily work for a firm or anything like that. But if you really want to, then definitely go to an accredited school. However, if you just want to gain interior design knowledge just to have, or maybe to start your own business, or just go some other route, you really don't have to go to an accredited school at all. It just depends on what you want. That would be, to me, that would be the only reason to go to an accredited school, because you really want it for the exam. But if you don't, then there's not necessarily a reason to go to an accredited school. Their programs, I wouldn't necessarily say better. Some people would say that it's better. It's all, you still have to learn everything to code. You still have to learn how to draw a little bit. Maybe they won't be as stressing the drawing as much. You still have to learn software. You still have to learn all the measurements and all the different tools. You still learn all that. So that decision is entirely up to you on if you want to go to an accredited school or not. The sixth and final question I get asked a lot is, can I get a master's in interior design without having a bachelor's in interior design first? And surprisingly, the answer to this question is yes. I thought it was no. I actually learned this from you guys. I've had some people DM me in different countries, I believe, but I'm sure this program exists in America too, that had applied to schools that allow them to get a master's degree in interior design without having done a bachelor's first. I think you just have to have a bachelor in something, but then you can go and get your master's in design. And that program is going to be shorter. Normally they're like 2 to 3, and they don't extend into 4 years. So again, it's going to be a lot of crammed information into a shorter period of time, but that is possible for you to do. You don't necessarily have to have had the 4 years first. If you just want to go straight into a master's, that is an option that's open to you. And that concludes this video. If you guys have any more questions for me, please let me know. Please comment down below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'm happy to be back on YouTube, making more videos for you guys. I really appreciate all the support again, and please make sure that you subscribe, all right? Like I say at the end of all of my videos, I make a great life, all right? I don't even need a ring, just subscribe, just click that button, and that's my ring. You like it, you stay till the end, just you do put a ring on it and you subscribe, all right? Okay, bye.